Now it's time to wake up. Kincaid and Salchunas is on the air. Broadcasting live on the Fanatic app and YouTube channel. Here are your hosts, John Kincaid and Andrew Salchunas. 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
Well, just because the news dropped late in the afternoon yesterday doesn't mean that it doesn't get talked about, right, Johnny? Good morning.
Yes.
Bit of a news dump yesterday. The Philadelphia 76ers decided to part ways with Darryl Morey as the president of basketball operations, and we'll be discussing that all show with you today. Would love to get your reaction. We have some questions that we want to discuss with you at 610-632-0975. That's the number you could text in, call in, voice memo, however you want to be a part of the conversation. We'd love to hear from you because it's another day of reaction. A little bit different. Obviously, the last day of reaction was Monday morning when the Sixers did not arrive. They did arrive to the building, Game 4 at the Xfinity Mobile Arena, but they just didn't play. And they got swept by the New York Knicks, which led to a lot of questions of what's next, what's the future for this team. So this was a decision, John, that they had to make. It's not something that I think is something to go party on Broad Street. I know there were a lot of people on social media celebrating the move. I think it's just a move that had to happen, but there's still a lot of questions of what's next. Like, just because you got rid of Darryl Morey doesn't mean that all of a sudden NBA teams are intrigued in the contract of Joel Embiid and Paul George.
Look,
good morning.
Good morning to you too. Darryl Morey being gone, I'm not going to dance on anybody's grave. Much like when Rob Thompson was gone, I'll applaud what Darryl Morey did well first. I'll lead with that, like with Rob Thompson. Rob Thompson was a great, leader of men as far as just getting people to enjoy coming to work, which a lot of managers can't do. Darryl Morey was a great drafter for the Sixers. That'll go down in history.
Yeah.
A great drafter.
I still remember I brought this up a few times. Listen to our man Johnny Marks, Middays with Marks. This is weeks ago, months ago now, where he was talking about how they should move on from Darryl Morey and build around Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe. And my response was, who got those guys?
Yeah.
I mean,
there's a lot of things that Darryl Morey did well. But to me, Darryl Morey's commitment, his mindset was one that I didn't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
The mindset of he likes old guys. He likes nostalgia tour.
The NBA ran away from him during his tenure with the Sixers. We had Tony Jones on yesterday, who we'll speak to again later today because he sort of got the first story that this could happen. Obviously, Howard Eskin was the one that got the story that it would happen.
I think we just got to have Tony in studio, come on in and spend a couple hours
with
us
Tony,
in studio some morning.
So Tony, at some point yesterday when we had him on, was talking about how when Darryl Morey first got here, the big three was still a thing. That's something that you and I have been talking about for the last couple of years. Darryl Morey continued to go in the direction of the NBA where the NBA was no longer going down that path. The NBA made an exit off of the highway and said, we're now going with youth, younger players, faster players. And you saw it just last year in the NBA playoffs when you saw the Indiana Pacers young team and the Oklahoma City Thunder young team. And look, the Thunder are going to be back at it this year. Darryl Morey thought veterans won championships. And for a time, that was the case in the NBA.
He was right.
The big
there was a time when it did.
Like that was something. But part of being a great GM or a great president of basketball operations, let's use Howie Roseman, for example, is knowing what that next step is. The Eagles win a Super Bowl playing like a 1990s brand of football. Run the football. Why? Because defenses got smaller and quicker because of the pass-happy league that it became. So Howie Roseman goes, wait a minute, look at how small those defenses are. If I just build a gigantic offensive line, and if I have Saquon Barkley, nobody's going to really be able to stop us. That's why Howie Roseman is elite as his job, because he could see where the league is going maybe ahead of time, whereas Darryl Morey was steps behind. In that case.
And look, is that's one of the things, too, is that you try to anticipate, you try to look ahead, and Darryl didn't do a good job with that.
No.
And right now, the Sixers are at a crossroads, and it is now going to be up to Bob Myers who I am a little confused Because is Bob Myers going to run the show, or is he just going to run the show temporarily?
Well, according to Josh Harris in his statement, Bob Myers will lead the process of identifying a new leader, and I believe his experiences in constructing 4 NBA championship teams will be a valuable resource to our organization. A lot of people were making the joke on social media yesterday. It's going to be really funny when Bob Myers interviews all these people and go, none of them are as good as me.
I don't. It sort of speaks to Ramona Shelburne's point that maybe he doesn't want the job.
Right.
It does, because I sort of felt that we were going to see both those things come in tandem. But we'll figure that out. That's for another day.
But him not wanting the job is not why Morey has to stay, right?
No.
Like
Morey had to go.
He did,
and it had to change because I said it yesterday with Connor. I didn't trust Darryl Morey anymore.
Right.
I didn't trust his judgment. And there are people who are going to try to spin to you that the only reason they got rid of Jared McCain was because of Darryl Morey was being forced to get under the tax. So that's how they were ducking the tax. That is such a BS answer.
Yeah, especially because, again, it has been reported multiple times now that they wanted to make a move the next day. It's just he misread the market.
And there were other moves that could have been made that could have gotten them under that tax. So it's obvious that what you just said, Andrew, is the truth. There was another move that he thought he had in his back pocket, and he didn't.
Yeah, and I think that's why the NBA quickly ran away from Darryl Morey, and that's why you have to make this move. Like, he thought he was ahead of the curve. He was not. You mentioned the good things that he did. It wasn't just drafting, Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe. Even just going back to when he first got here, the Al Horford contract was a mess that he had to clean up.
I can't believe he ever did that.
And he got Danny Green, he actually got a player in return, and he got rid of that entire contract. A smaller move, but one that was really impactful. Trading Josh Richardson, who couldn't shoot, to the Dallas Mavericks for Seth Curry. I don't know how he pulled that move off. I don't know what Dallas was thinking. Now we
Dallas
know
has made a few moves.
Couple years
I don't know
later,
what they're thinking.
Yeah, a couple years later, we found out that they didn't really have the best head on their shoulders. And then, of course, the Ben Simmons situation. And say what you want about James Harden. I get it. Like the Game 6, Game 7 Boston, his entire career coming up small, late in series. But Ben Simmons did not want to be here. Ben Simmons had his cell phone in his pocket at practice. Like, he wanted nothing to do with the Philadelphia 76ers organization. And Darryl Morey was able to ship him off and get James Harden, who actually had some pretty big moments during his time here.
And that's always going to be, by the way, no matter how much I'm not a James Harden fan, getting James Harden for Ben Simmons.
That was a win.
When everybody knew that you had to get rid of Ben Simmons, that's a freaking steal.
Oh, it absolutely
that's amazing. When you have something that you have to move, and everybody knows you have to move it, you're not going to get top dollar for it. I think getting Darryl Morey getting a return of a guy of that talent level, to me, is getting top dollar.
Yeah.
That was the best. That was the best you could ever have imagined.
Like, look at what happened to Ben Simmons afterward. Like, the guy didn't want to play basketball anymore. and you got a very good player, a Hall of Fame player out of that deal. So there's going to be a lot of revisionist history about what Darryl Morey has been able to do here in Philadelphia. A lot of people are going to say that it was nothing but bad things. But here's the deal.
Not true.
And I put this out yesterday on social media. Just because he cleaned up messes, that does not mean he gets to keep his job after creating the colossal mess that he did create. Like, let's face it, Darryl Morey created this mess of the Paul George contract that not many people wanted. I know you and I looked him in the eyes and told him we did not want this. And I know there were a lot of reporters.
Before it happened, we can say it. That before it happened, we had a little sit down and we're just talking, and Darryl was very good about that, by the way, talking and just in joking around, he was sort of saying, well, what would you guys do if you were me?
Right.
Like in a joking situation. Well, what would you do if you were me?
We threw out some names.
And we were like, we would absolutely not do Paul George.
Yeah, because you're signing an insurance policy to Joel Embiid, and Paul George needs his own insurance policy because of the injuries that he has sustained over his career. And then the Joel Embiid extension that nobody was asking for, right? Like, if he was coming off his MVP season and it was the final year of his deal, that's one thing. There was still 2 years left on his deal.
There was zero reason to have to do it.
There was none. And now that does not kick in until next season. Like, he still has 3 years on this new contract that doesn't kick in until the 2026-27 season starts. So just because you cleaned up other messes doesn't mean you can then go into another aisle and pull down all the pickle jars and spill them all over the aisle and be like, that's all right. I cleaned up those other ones, though.
Well, it's like you talked about with Coop the other day. I mean, is Coop cleaned up a mess at your house, and you were very proud of him, but Coop went and made another mess.
Yeah, and so
I mean, you can't like you don't applaud cleaning up the one mess and creating another mess,
right?
But I do believe the story of Darryl Morey is a very mixed bag here, and it certainly was not a trash story. It was certainly not a story of a guy who did a horrendous job, but he hooked his wagon to things that I think he should have known better than, and that was one of them was Joel Embiid.
Well, that's the thing. He may not have done a horrendous job, but there is a possibility that he put them in a horrendous situation.
I think he did.
My only thing is,
he did. I don't even think it's a question that he did.
Right, but can this whoever Bob Myers hires and and Josh Harris signs off on it, does Paul George have trade value? Right? Like, did Paul George play himself into being tradable during that series with Boston and some of the moments that he had against the New York Knicks? Like,
did you watch any of the studio shows yesterday? Any of the NBA coverage yesterday?
I did not. No.
Okay. There are people who do believe that he did. That do believe that Paul George is the much more movable asset than Joel Embiid. Much more.
Yeah.
It seems like the ex-NBA players, and Amy talked about it with us yesterday. Amy sort of seemed to believe that George was the one who was much more movable.
Well, yeah, because he still has very good perimeter defense, and Embiid's not really doing much on the defensive end anymore. And Paul George, when getting hot, can be a catch-and-shoot three. And look, we saw him create his own shot, which that was different.
And they seem to be the ex-NBA players who I always take it as they're talking to other NBA players. They're talking to, and I talked to a very large one last night trying to get him on the show today. But they believe that Paul George is the movable asset. And it seems to be that their belief is that Paul George could not easily be moved, but if they want to move Paul George, he'll be moved.
And by the way, it has to happen because
I think one of them has to go.
You need to start getting off of these really bad contracts. And look, I guess we'll eventually find out whenever they speak, and I know it'll be later on this week. Was Darryl Morey still pushing that he could make this work with the group that he has, right? Like, I was listening to Johnny.
You mean, did he go down with the ship?
Yeah, did he say, like, look, I still think this group can win. This is what I can do this offseason in order to achieve that. And once you hear that, like, it's not going to happen, Darryl. Like, I don't know if that's what he said, but I can tell you it's not going to happen.
Are you talking about where Johnny Marks was saying that if he was interviewing somebody and they said, well, my plan is to build around Embiid, he'd
immediately hang up.
Zoom interview over. I would agree with that 100%. If someone tells me their plan is, well, I think we can still do it with Joel Embiid. Zoom interview over, next candidate. Come to me. And but it doesn't appear that a lot of the let's put it this way, a lot of the ex-NBA players who are sitting on panels believe that Joel Embiid's a movable asset.
Okay.
They don't seem to believe that there's a lot of teams that are going to be like, and from what I was deciphering last night, a lot of teammates that are going to be like, yeah, let's bring Embiid into our locker room. Let's bring him in because I have a feeling we're going to hear more stuff coming out about Tony Jones has some coverage on it. That we're going to have more stuff about some of the Sixers' dysfunction.
Oh, yeah.
That is now going to come out, and much of it is going to center around Joel Embiid.
Yeah, you'll get the Darryl Morey side of the
well, it's going to center around
at some point, right?
Well, for the second consecutive year, this team had to have players going to management complaining about Joel Embiid disrupting the team.
Yeah, because they're tired of it. And look,
they're tired of his childishness. They're tired of his unprofessionalism. They can't deal with the man because he won't act like a grown-up.
I've brought this up a lot.
Couldn't imagine it.
Talking to enough people, being here throughout the whole process, and then obviously the first couple of years after the process, after Embiid and Simmons were here, the organization allowed them to do whatever they wanted because they were the two players that were supposed to take us out from the process and bring us to the promised land, and they allowed them to do whatever they wanted. Remember, I mean, random example, Ben Simmons staying in Miami after the horrible loss because Kendall was there, and the team allowed it. Like, the team allowed Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid to do whatever they wanted, and that gets in your mind at some point, especially when you're making $50 million freaking dollars with Joel Embiid's getting.
But okay, I get that. There are times where at work, against like a boss will maybe you'll have a certain latitude, and then things don't go as well, and then the boss pulls the latitude back. At some point, when do you have to be self-aware and go, my teammates are literally going to management complaining about me being a diva, being I do my own thing, I'm not a good teammate.
John,
and then they do not. And then I don't react to it.
John, you work in an industry
full of divas.
Filled with egos and divas.
I know.
You know that there are people that have been told to do things and they say, okay, fine. Or there's the opposite of, yeah, screw you. I'm going to do the opposite now.
I know. And they almost do,
right?
almost out of spite, they're going to say, I got you. And by the way, you and I both experienced it.
Yeah, and that's sports talk radio, not $50 million NBA
and the thing
player.
is, though, you expect it at some point to change. You really do. You expect it at some point to change. And to me, I wonder how much can change as long as he's here. As long as Joel Embiid's here.
So our question to start, obviously reaction, 610-632-0975. But our question to start, what is the number one task for whoever this new president of basketball operations is going to be that you want them to attempt to complete? Like you're sitting across the desk and you're saying, this is your first order of business. John, what would the first order of business? Obviously, logic has to come into play. Like you would not just trade Joel Embiid for a bag of basketballs.
No.
But what would your first order of business be?
Find the first major contract you can move.
Yeah.
That's find the first major contract that you can move. That would be it right there. Is you can find a major contract that you can move, do it. That's it. That'd be the first order of business. Show me that the log jam can start to be shifted around. And then I'd go from there.
Yeah, I mean, and to me, again, I think Paul George is the more likely answer for that to happen.
You know, what's funny is you thought that, and you're more of an NBA head than I am. So I'm gonna give it to you there. But I honestly, I was a little surprised to hear that, and I heard it very strongly last night that. Look, it's Paul George that can be moved.
I was listening to ESPN overnight on the way over here, and Michael Wilbon, who covers, he's been sports talk forever,
and very
but
well connected,
especially in the NBA.
Oh, very well connected.
He was talking about how the biggest talk at the combine right now, and NBA draft combine, is LeBron and where he's going to go, and how it might be the Golden State 49ers, Golden State Warriors. And think about that for a second. That's a team that already has like two 40-year-olds on it or two late 30-year-old players, and they're thinking, you know what, we can maybe do something with LeBron. There are teams that are going to say, we get that Paul George is in his mid-30s, but he could still shoot, he could play defense, and if he's not the guy, which, look, here he was not the guy. There were times where he was the fourth option, the way VJ Edgecombe was playing.
That is correct. Yes.
And if you could add a team to where he's your third or fourth guy and you're not expecting him to run the offense, maybe you can make something happen, especially with his defense still there. The NBA is filled with GMs that talk themselves into thinking it'll work here.
And to me, I guess I just never knew how bad the perception is right now with the Embiid situation. And I'm disappointed in it because I was sort of hoping that maybe we'd be sitting in a different spot. We're not. We're not. It's not looking good.
No,
not looking good.
It's not. So good luck to whoever the next guy is because you have your own mess to clean up. Your reaction to Darryl Morey being fired and what you want the new president of basketball operations to attempt to complete first. 610-632-0975. Phillies, Johnny, with another win yesterday. 2-1 over the Sox in Boston. Kyle Schwarber goes yard again in the first inning. 5 straight games now with a home run for Schwarber. People forget that they re-signed him. 17 home runs on the season already. But really, the big story is what Zach Wheeler did yesterday, John, because we saw vintage Wheeler for really the first time. He has pitched well since coming back, but the one thing that was still kind of missing was that velocity. He was hitting 96, 97 on the gun last night, and you're going, all right, he might be back.
How about the fact, too, that to me last night is I saw efficient.
Yeah.
I saw efficient Zach Wheeler, and that was what was so exciting. It's really that was an exciting night last night. 16 pitches to get through 3 innings, which Major League Baseball's, even their account was going back and checking it. It was the most efficient 3 innings.
It's unbelievable.
At least since 2000 on, and then they were going back and researching more. I don't know if they ever got a stat further than that. It's incredible. That's 26 years since a pitcher only took 16 pitches to get through 3 innings.
And he's coming off of a wild situation with the blood clot. 7 1/3 last night, 6 hits, just 1 earned run.
And boy, does it when Schwarber just does. It looks effortless. It looks easy.
Yeah.
And boy, he's been a big help.
He's been huge.
And it's nice to see. And again, people ask, what can a change? What can a change of manager do? I don't think the manager's helping them. It's just, I think everybody breathed a sigh of relief.
Yeah.
And they're feeling better about it.
Magic Mattingly. He touched Zach Wheeler's shoulder.
They're feeling better about it. Let's put it that way.
And it found life again.
They're liking it.
All right.
They're happy.
Coming up next, most of that first segment obviously was about the Sixers parting ways with Darryl Morey. We'll hear from you coming up next, 610-632-0975. I'll scan our YouTube chat as always, Johnny. But also, we did not talk about the decision to keep Nick Nurse. There was a lot of confusion last night when that happened, and I kind of want to know why from people. It's Kincaid and Salchunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Kincaid and Salchunas, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. Now back to Kincaid and Salchunas, 97.5 The Fanatic and the Fanatic app.
This hour of Kincaid and Salchunas is presented by Bradford White Water Heaters. Bradford White, they're here for the pro.
It's 6:30 here on Kincaid and Salchunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. The morning after the Sixers parted ways with Darryl Morey as the president of basketball operations. We'll be reacting with you all show today at 610-632-0975. We'll check the Davis Honda text line momentarily. You can feel the Davis difference in Burlington. But, John, one of the big takeaways for a lot of people yesterday was, well, why didn't you fire the head coach? So Darryl Morey out. Nick Nurse will resume as the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. And there were a lot of people upset with it. Now, part of it was, why would you not let the new GM or president hire their own guy? So I understand that take because that's all
pretty
sports.
Standard.
Yeah, that's all sports. So I understand that one. But, like, the vitriol toward Nick Nurse is something that I don't understand.
I absolutely do not get it.
I
don't understand it.
I don't think this guy ever really had the opportunity to coach the Sixers. Like,
has Nick Nurse truly gotten a chance?
I don't think so. And if, like, we just did the Darryl Morey saga, it wasn't all bad. There were some good things
Absolutely.
too. Nick Nurse has had his moments where I questioned his coaching. Like that first series against the Knicks, I'm not talking about the one they just got swept in. I'm saying the one from a couple of years ago. Like not being able to figure out how to keep the offensive rebounds for the Knicks. Like that was over the entire 6-game series. Like,
it was over and over again. It was a terrible. That wasn't a great series.
Like you need to have answers for that kind of stuff, and he could not figure that out.
Did he have the personnel to have the answers? I did. I have asked myself that because I said the same things that we weren't working together at the time of that series.
Right.
I asked myself the same question though. Did he have the personnel to carry off what I thought he did, what I wanted them to do against that Knicks team?
Yeah, I mean, it was a much older team,
much older
team,
much older,
and then people like last year, the season that was just horrendous.
It was awful.
I don't know why people wanted him fired after last year. I'm not talking about the season that just ended. I'm talking about the year where they didn't make the playoffs. I mean,
I didn't get that either.
Embiid missed all that time. George misses all that time, shockingly. Tyrese Maxey missed time. They had no VJ Edgecombe, right? Like Jared McCain got hurt, right? Like basically 4/5 of your starting five was out at the same time. And people, how come he's not figuring out ways to win games with this group? Because they weren't in the NBA the next year.
We get so pissed sometimes and look, I fall into it too, so I'm not guilty of this. Every sports fan does, of circumstance where we don't put enough into circumstance. There's nothing that Nick Nurse could have done in some of these situations that he's had to deal with. Now, do I believe Nick Nurse is on a clock? Yeah. And I see no problem. I see no problem with the new head of basketball operations or whoever comes in having the opportunity to know Nick Nurse is not on a contract extension. He's on a short leash. Show what you can do. And if you can't do it, you'll be moved on from, and he'll get to hire his own guy next year. But I don't believe Nick Nurse ever had the opportunity here to truly show us what he could do.
Right.
Now we're going to see that opportunity has to come about.
Now, there was like one stain, obviously, this year, and it was not being able to figure out how to work Jared McCain into the rotation.
Horrible.
Right?
That is to me, that's the number one stain on his resume.
Like Daryl Morey deserves, I still believe, majority of heat for moving on from Jared McCain, right? Like he made that decision. He thought there was going to be another move that he could make the next day before the trade deadline. He misread the market.
That's obvious.
But the reason why he was the guy on the block and nobody else was because Nick Nurse, for some reason, could not find a way to get him into the rotation. And now you're seeing what he's doing with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And they're 4 wins away from getting back to another NBA final, and I'm expecting that. They're 8 wins away from winning another championship, and I'm expecting that.
And a lot of talk that Oklahoma City may or may not just flip McCain this offseason.
Right, because they have 17 guards on that team.
And they may just be working his asset up so they can flip him.
And that's the big thing.
Which is going to be terrible.
Right.
That's going to be absolutely horrendous for us when and if that happens. It's going to be horrendous.
And the thing is with the Thunder, they have an abundance of guards. They had an abundance of guards before they acquired Jared McCain, and yet they still find and forget McCain, they still find a way to get all the guards on the court pretty much almost every single game.
They do. I don't know how they do it, by the way.
Nick Nurse was like, no, Maxey, Edgecombe, Quentin Grimes. Now, that's what he was given.
But he fell in love with, I think Nick Nurse has fallen in love with who he loves. Like who he wants to play, too.
Yeah, but who other than McCain do you think he truly loved? Like, I don't think Quentin Grimes is we need to keep. This is harsh. One of the things I'm most excited about Daryl Morey being gone is I don't think the next GM is going to say, yeah, Quentin Grimes is a big part of this team.
I don't think he will either.
And I'm excited about that. Andre Drummond, Adem Bona. Like, there are a lot of players on this team that Nick Nurse had to play because there was nobody else. Now, the Barlow thing, right? Like, how come Barlow couldn't get on the court? What did Nick Nurse not see? And then the one game that he played him, he actually was better than the other backup options.
And he actually did well for them.
So, like, Nick Nurse doesn't escape any criticism from me. I just don't understand the anger for some people that he is back because I never thought he truly got the fair crack at it.
I didn't either.
It's not his fault. He didn't sign Paul George, who's hurt, and then get suspended. He didn't sign Joel Embiid to an extension, who's always hurt.
And the more importantly is that in this town, Joel Embiid has all the excuse makers. Yet I don't see any grace being offered to a Nick Nurse, so I don't get it. Like I don't understand it because I do believe there are a lot of people who know basketball, but they don't seem to really know basketball with the critique that he tends to get.
You know how a couple years ago when the Phillies lost to the Mets, and even you, somebody that's very critical of Rob Thompson, even you say,
no,
there was nothing in that series that you could say.
I would have done the exact same moves, Andrew, that he did when he made his bullpen moves, Rob Thompson in the Mets series. I would have done the exact same moves in Game 1 and Game 2.
Right.
So the first 2 games of that series, when you saw Strahm and you saw Hoffman blow it.
Right.
And they blew up like they hadn't blown up all season long.
Yeah.
I would have done the exact same moves because that's what you saw all year.
Year long, right.
Rob Thompson can't be criticized for that.
So my question for the people that are angry that Nick Nurse is back or questioning why Nick Nurse is back, I guess I would ask the same question that we asked of people that were angry with Rob Thompson against that Mets series. What would you have done differently? The backup bigs that they had are the backup bigs that they had.
Correct.
You know, the Jared McCain not finding a way to play him in the rotation. Okay, that's a stain. That's a stain on him.
That is a huge stain, especially when you see what a world championship club is able to do with him.
Right. But then after that, like, are you upset that Justin Edwards didn't play more? Like, there's a reason why Justin Edwards didn't play more. Are you upset that certain 9th, 10th guys on the bench didn't play more? There's a reason why they're that deep into the bench and could not play. Like, this team was very, very lacking of depth. So I don't know what
I think that's fair.
Would have done differently with Nick Nurse. Now, we have a caller that wants to talk about that.
Okay.
It's our man, Tasty Cake Dom. What's up, Dommy?
Andrew, hey, John.
Hi, Dom. What's up, buddy?
John, Andre Drummond has one skill set, right?
Yes.
One skill set, right?
He's going to rebound the basketball for you.
Why offensively are you putting him 23 feet away from the basket then?
I'm just going to assume that the analytically run organization that are the Sixers, they believe 3 points is more than 2. And I don't know why Andre Drummond all of a sudden became corner 3 Drummond. I don't know why.
Okay, Andrew. Tobias Harris was put in the corner here. So he's scoring 40 in an elimination game for Detroit. He's put in the corner here.
Yep.
Right? Is that correct? Is that what happened?
Yeah,
I've been pointing it out to Andrew how different Tobias Harris looks as a Detroit Piston. And by the way, he's been one of their best players in a playoff run.
But my point to your point, Dom, is Tobias Harris was the same player with Nick Nurse as he was with Doc Rivers, as he was with Brett Brown during his tenure with the Sixers. So,
but how'd he get used?
Okay, Andrew. Buddy Hield could hit 3-pointers before he got here, and then he's hitting them all over California for Golden State, but he can't get on the court here.
Yeah, that Knicks series, that was another guy, and I still remember, Dom, there was the first half where he was shooting the lights out, and then we don't see him again until the fourth quarter, and I'm sitting there going...
That was the Knicks series, correct?
Yeah, I'm like, why isn't he playing? So I get it. There's definitely moments, Dom, but I just don't know how much of a difference it would be if it was a different head coach. Like, the roster's the roster.
Well, John, I have one more point.
Yes, sir.
The way you beat the Boston Celtics is you eliminate 3-pointers, right?
Yeah, well, the perimeter defense of the Sixers, I think, helped win that, yes.
Play zone against a team that has 7 zone busters.
I don't understand that. I'll tell you this. I always will say I do not consider myself a basketball strategist, but I would come in during that series and I questioned things that I said that Dom DeJulia taught me in CYO basketball at St. Anastasia. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Thanks, Dommy. Here's also,
like I don't understand. If I'm looking at things and figuring it out strategy-wise, there's a problem.
I could also point this out.
What's that?
Is Embiid locking anyone down at this stage?
No, his defense, I'll tell you, you looked at me crazy when I said it a few weeks ago, that Embiid has slipped big time as a defensive player.
Well, no, when his ass is planted down low, he could still
he can, but
be
his
body.
But his defense has slipped.
But when Dom's talking about why are you playing zone, well, one guy can't move.
Well, we only got 3 more years of it.
And that's why Darryl Morey's fired.
At max dollars.
Ultimately, Darryl Morey came in here, cleaned up messes, and then created a whole other mess in a different aisle. And that's why he's fired. And just because maybe Paul George's trade value went up, that does not save somebody's job. You signed him to begin with. All right, more of your reaction, 610-632-0975. Also, I have a Kyle Schwarber question I want to run by you and our audience, Johnny.
Don't extend him. You gave him like 20 years. No, don't extend him.
How much are you enjoying it, the Kyle Schwarber experience? Or are the expectations too much to really, truly enjoy a pace for 500 home runs? It's Kincaid and Salchunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Kincaid and Salchunas, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. If you want to see their wonderful faces, check out youtube.com/975 The Fanatic Philadelphia. More of Kincaid and Salchunas coming your way now.
All right, 6:47 here on Kincaid and Salchunas 97.5 The Fanatic. Sixers talk will continue, but Johnny, we got a big story to continue to watch with the Phillies because the Phillies continue to win baseball games. Magic Mattingly, man, he just found a way. They went from 9-19 to now 20-22.
Were you happy I was sort of complaining a little bit last night?
That's
bit?
good. Yeah, you were wondering why go with Wheeler out there in the 7th inning.
In the 8th.
Or 8th,
start the
excuse
8th.
me.
I did not want him to start the 8th.
I think you were just trying to throw us off the scent.
No, I did not want him to start the 8th. I thought you got him through 7. He got out of that jam in the 7th.
Yep.
He got out of there. He's leading the game. You have a bullpen that's rested.
Mm-hmm.
That should be where you just go to your bullpen, right?
Well, he got
You're
the
asking
out.
6 outs. You're asking 6 outs. Go to your bullpen.
Got the out. Alvarado gets the next 2, and then Duran with the save. Phillies now 20-22. We've been talking about whether or not they could get to 500 by the end of this week, and they had to go 5-1 for that to happen.
I told you they would be there by the beginning of the Guardians series,
which is May 22nd.
Memorial Day weekend. So the
So-
Friday of Memorial Day weekend, I told you I believe they will be sitting at 500.
Well, good start last night getting that win, and a story that we're going to continue to watch more and more as his tenure here in Philadelphia continues is 500 watch for Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber hits another home run yesterday. He is now homered in 5 straight games. He had 2 in the last game of the Rockies series, so 6 home runs in his last 5 games. 17 on the season, which leads Major League Baseball. We know what he did last year with the 56 home runs, and we were talking about how, look, a drop-off season for Schwarber
Would be like 40. I think I said that I thought he'd hit like 46.
Yeah, like still high 40s, and well,
He still could. I don't know. I mean,
he's on pace for basically last year's total with 17 already here in the month of May. And he's now at 357 career home runs. So, Johnny, I'm curious. Today's going to be more Sixers heavy, but
Sure.
just to kind of loosen things up a little bit. Are you enjoying the Kyle Schwarber individual experience? Because we know that this Phillies talk has been all about getting back to a World Series, winning a World Series, this core, and the expectations that we've had, the colossal failure of 2023, the kick in the nuts of 2024. Last year, you understand why they lose to the Dodgers, but then the messaging that came out from that series, we got a good club, we just ran into the wrong team. Like, I hated that messaging. And so a lot of Wake Me Up When October Comes people come out this year, and I get it. But Kyle Schwarber, like, we're watching a guy that's going to reach 500 home runs. Like, I want to watch every night to see him chase that.
I just find if you, I said it to you earlier, if you don't like watching Kyle Schwarber, I think you don't like baseball that much because he's such a, he is a, it's my favorite word, as you know, in the English language. I think he's a joyous guy to watch. I think he's a fun guy to watch go about his craft. And to me, if you don't like, if you don't enjoy watching Kyle Schwarber, get in the lab and do his thing, you really don't enjoy watching baseball. He's so much fun. I do the get to baseball games late and then go to the YouTube TV where they pick you up through key plays.
Yeah.
And immediately we get to it through key plays.
Schwarber home run.
General Hospital was really good yesterday, by the way, too, so it was worth getting a little late. And put it on. Kyle Schwarber comes up first. You see key plays. Kyle Schwarber's up to bat. I'm like, whoa, Schwarbomb to start the game? And there it was. That's that beautiful thing. He's an absolute feast to watch. It's so much fun to watch him play, and we're blessed to be able to do it.
So I want to know from people, can you separate, like, Schwarber's individual chase for 500 home runs to what the Phillies have been over the last couple of years? And those standards and expectations are still true today, right? Like, even though I was pissed off with what that offseason was, it's still about 90-plus wins, and it's still about getting to the playoffs, and hopefully they finally freaking make it to a World Series and win it. But I can still sit back and just go, man, I want to watch Kyle Schwarber bat. I wasn't a Giants fan, but I tuned in every night when Barry Bonds was up to bat.
I bet you did.
Because I wanted to see him chasing, 70 home runs. I wanted to see him chase 756 because I'm all about that. Ohtani last year. I'm not a Dodgers fan, but the 50-50, or was that 2 years ago? I forget when that was, but I tuned in for that. Like, I wanted to see him do that chase. The cool thing is this guy's on our team. Like,
Yes.
we're watching the Phillies.
I want to see it just because of the fact is I saw Schmitty do it, obviously, but I want to see Kyle Schwarber. To me, he's going to go down as one of those generational players for this organization. And to me, such a pleasure to watch him go about his work that, yeah, he's worth it every single night of the week. And yes, I just think that he is enough to carry them to a wild card.
Yeah.
If he's having a season like this and with the pitching hopefully rounding into shape, he's enough to carry them to a wild card. So
Dude, he carried them to a division last year.
So
if Kyle Schwarber was not on the Phillies last year, they're not in the playoffs.
No, you couldn't count on Bryce Harper to do it.
No.
That wouldn't have done. Trey Turner, even with the batting title, wouldn't have gotten it done.
Well, and that's
by the way, whatever's happening with Trey Turner is a whole nother story.
That's the one big thing with Turner right now.
It's bad.
Kyle Schwarber, 17 home runs. Do you know how many RBI he has this year?
31?
You want to take a guess, Rodman?
31?
I was going to say 33 was my guess.
28 RBI.
Wow.
He has 17 home runs. He's only driven in 28 runs.
It is a huge problem.
Because the guy in front of him is not getting all
It's
base.
a huge problem. Trey Turner, and I don't know if you saw did you see the Bob Nightingale note?
That people are like stunned. They have no idea what happened.
Scouts around baseball are severe, like majorly concerned.
Yeah. No, it's a shame, man. Because
it's a shame for us. It is.
No, that's what I'm saying.
He's only got, 7 years left on that deal?
Yeah, about so.
Yeah, it's great.
All right.
That's
Are you
great.
enjoying the Kyle Schwarber race to 500 despite all the angst with the Phillies? What do we got on the text line there, Robin? Connor, speaking of the Red Sox, Connor's going to Boston, little family trip, so he'll be there for the next two games.
Well, hopefully, because tomorrow looks really bad in Boston weather-wise.
Weather-wise?
Yeah.
He could still find a way to have fun.
Oh, no. Hopefully, I just hope he gets to see the game, the Luzardo versus
Suarez
game.
All right, what do we got on the Davis Honda text line? Feel the Davis difference. Check them out in Burlington.
Well, speaking of 7-year contracts left, John C. from Tennessee checks in and says things Darryl Morey would do as the new Sixers GM. He says extend Embiid's extension by 2 more years, trade VJ Edgecombe for a 3rd-round pick, and sign LeBron to a 7-year contract.
Okay, yeah.
Well, look. That's a joke that hits too close to home.
Yeah,
but it's the truth.
Yeah,
that's what that's sort of
Darryl
what
Morey would have done.
That's what he's saying. It's what Darryl Morey would do. Darryl Morey does that kind of stuff. That's what he did.
All right. Well, hopefully,
unfortunately, we're moving on from that.
Hopefully, we get some real answers as the show continues. All right, coming up next, more Sixers talk. After big news like last night, Johnny, obviously a lot of people in the world of basketball want to react. One NBA voice asks a really interesting question about the Sixers pre- and post-Darryl Morey that I can't wait to discuss because, again, we live in a world of revisionist history. He also gave a scenario that I thought was impossible. But we'll talk about it next. It's Kincaid and Salchunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic.